It's been a while since I made a video, and I wanted to just get back on here and tell a little story of my experience that happened not that long ago. I thought, well, maybe it'll help somebody else. Maybe you'll find some comfort in it. So I just want to share it, and I'm going to do it imperfectly because it feels difficult to share. Because it's very personal, but at the same time, part of why I wanted to do YouTube was to share who I am and express who I am and have a record of my life. So, hello, I'm on the record. So I'll just start by telling you in last November 2025, Thanksgiving Eve of 2025, I got a text from my brother telling me that my father had passed away. I had known that he had been sick for some time, several months, in decline, and I live on the West Coast, he lives on the East Coast. My brother kept me informed about my father's condition. I think earlier the day of his death, I did speak to him, although he wasn't verbal. I was able to say I loved him, and over the phone, my brother held up the phone to him. And it was either that day or the day before. It wasn't a shock that he passed away. He was 99? Yeah. So he had a long life. I had a very complicated relationship with my father. It was very strained and complicated. I loved him, I adored him, and at the same time he was, not the best father. I think we all do our best, but his best fell short in terms of what I needed. And there was just a barrier in terms of communication, and I always loved my father, and I always did my best to reach out to him and stay connected. A typical conversation with my dad was I would call him. Hi, Dad, how are you? Oh, hey, Andrew, I'm doing okay. How are you? Well, I'm okay. Yeah, just, working and making my way through the world. And he's like, okay, well, that's good. Thanks for calling. Bye. That was pretty much a conversation we'd have. Or, hey, Dad, how are you doing? Oh, hi, Andrew. I can't hear too well, but thanks for calling. How are you? How are you? I said, well, yeah, not that great. I have some cancer, had to get removed from my nose, so it's been kind of a difficult time. Oh, okay, well, that's good. Thanks for calling. Bye. That was the crux of the conversation. But I adored my dad. I did my best to send him greeting cards and call him and, that kind of thing. So he died on Thanksgiving Eve 2025. And I worked Fridays and Saturdays, so I had to work on the Friday. I went back to work, and I told my supervisor what was going on. I said, look, my dad died, and, I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know, if I have to go back east, but I didn't have time off, and I didn't have a lot of money to get back there, so that wasn't likely, but I was still going to keep my employer informed as to what was going on. And I had just come back to this job. Having left it, I used to work part-time, and then they offered me a full-time position, and I loved the place and the company and my coworkers, so I accepted the job. I hadn't been at the job very long, but I knew everybody because I had a history there. It was a Saturday morning. It was the day after Black Friday, right? And it was very busy, and it's retail. And my supervisor said, you know, I'd like you to go over these items with me, our products that we sell. And then he said, could you watch this documentary about the founder of the company? So the woman who founded the company in the 40s, she was quite an accomplished woman, and there was a PBS documentary about her. It was like 50 minutes, and my supervisor said, oh, why don't you just watch this to refresh yourself about the company and the history? And I said, sure. So the documentary was basically about this woman's life, from her beginnings as a child and to her success in the business, and eventually her decline in life and her death. So I watched this, and very interesting, and I like historical documentaries. I like biographies. I like to find out about people's lives and how they lived. And I was done the documentary, watching it in the computer. I went back on the computer in the back room of our showroom. And so I was done, and he said, oh, my supervisor said, you know, do you want to take your break now? We get a 15-minute break. I said, sure, I'll take my break. So I went upstairs to our break room after watching this documentary, and I sat down at the table. I just started to weep, and just sobbing, and I realized, because I had watched this documentary about somebody's life and death, you know, it just reminded me of my dad. You know, here's a man who, like all of us, he was born, he had his life, he had his prime of his life, he went through a lot of experiences, and his decline was, you know, he died. Watching the documentaries reminded me of the humanity of my own father and of all of us. And so I just started to weep and sobbing, and it really was the first time I had cried about my dad. I'm weeping. I'm like, ah! And I go down to my supervisor and I said, look, I don't think I can finish the day. I have to leave, and I'm crying. And he's like, oh, sure, yeah, sure. You want to go? And he's like, yeah, just go, take care of yourself. There's a gift shop a few blocks down. And so I was just walking. I just want to clear my head. Really cute gift store that I've been to in the past. And I thought, well, let me go in and check it out. I enter the shop, and the first thing I notice is the music she's playing, and the song that she's playing as I walk in is Dominic the Donkey, the Italian Christmas donkey. It's a song I never heard before, but it was like, the name of it's Dominic the Donkey, the Italian Christmas donkey, ya da 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 da. And the thing is, my dad's name was Dominic. And I just could not believe it. I was just stood there in the store kind of stunned, because I'd never heard the song before. And here I am, someone's saying my dad's name. And when I looked it up later, it's a song that's been around from the 50s, sort of this kitschy Italian themed pop song that was just bizarre. A lot of people have heard it, apparently. I never heard it before. So this song is playing in this store, and I almost wanted to go up to this shopkeeper and say, oh my God, my dad's name was Dominic. But I refrained from doing that. So I'm looking around the store, listening to the song, and just perplexed, just stunned, really. Because here's the thing, that Saturday morning before I went to work that day, I was writing in my journal, and I've written in a journal on and off throughout my whole life. It's been a great way for me to connect with myself, with my feelings, with my thoughts, just to clear my mind, to connect. I believe when you write in a journal, you're kind of writing to God, writing to something greater than yourself, if that's the way I've looked at it. So, and I was writing in this journal. I said, basically, I could read the journal for you. basically I said, I I don't have any feelings about my dad's death. I don't know what's going on. Um, should I be feeling anything? I don't know what to think or feel. Please send me a sign. I said, I really need a sign, any little sign. And I wrote like really imploring for a sign. So with both of these things that happened, watching this documentary, having my feelings, crying, weeping, and then going to the store and hearing the song as I walked in, it blew me away. It blew me away, and I totally take it as a sign. And you can think whatever you want, but for me to think that I should walk into that store the moment that song was playing that day, after what I had just experienced with my feelings, I mean, I couldn't believe it. And so I thought, oh, well, I was in there and I thought I was just walking around sort of half stunned, and I wanted just to buy something. I don't know, I felt like I needed to get something. And so I got this little elf. And I guess what this means, it was Christmas time, and this isn't particularly like an elf. It's kind of cute, but it's kind of like not really what I would typically want, but I just got it for whatever reason, and I thought it just reminds me of that experience. So I actually have this out in like my bathroom, sitting on a shelf, to remind me about the experience, because I do feel like this was a sign from my dad. And I'll just say that I feel like it was a sign, and because the experience just felt too far out of the realm of possibility that it couldn't be any other thing but a sign. And my dad, he was a funny guy, and for him to hear that song, Dominica the Donkey, the Italian Christmas donkey, it's such a weird, kind of stupid song that I thought it sounds like, just to remind me of the humor of my dad, that he would do something like that. And, I wanted to mention, weeks later, much later, not that long ago, I went back to that store. And I was in a place where I could tell the woman about my experience in the store, because she was a very cool chick. And she said, oh my God, that's beautiful. Thank you for telling me. Because she said, I remember that song. That song, Dominic the Donkey, she said, I just put that on that one day. She said, I added it that day, and it was just the one on our playlist. So it wasn't like typically she would do a playlist that repeats. She just had that song on one time in the whole spectrum of her songs. So I came in at the exact moment that one song was playing that she wasn't going to play any other time that day. And that even more confirmed what my experience was, something out of this world. That's my story. I hope it, maybe if you're going through a period of loss, I hope it gives you some comfort. There are things there's the mystery of life, and that's the beauty of it. So I guess, if you've lost someone that you love, maybe look for a sign and ask for a sign. I guess that's more the thing. Ask for the sign. And maybe it'll be there. Maybe you'll see it. Maybe you'll understand it. Maybe you won't, but can't hurt, right? I hope it's helped. I hope you're having a great day. And thanks for listening. Bye.